interested in seeing the images before they're edited, I'm going to have a few before and afters at the end of this video, so stick around.
Wow, what an absolutely incredible place. We're currently in Montenegro on our Europe trip, and I had no idea it was going to look like this, mostly because I came in blind. I did not do any research to what this country was going to look like. Actually, the reason it was completely blind is because Sophia, who's right off camera, did most of the research and planning for a lot of this trip. I kind of chimed in with a few of the spots that I wanted to visit, like Plitvice, but for the most part, it was just, you pick out where you want to go. This is your trip, and I'll just take photos if there's something to take photos of. And we got to Montenegro yesterday, and holy... But what I wanted to end up talking about in this episode is just going in blind can be super rewarding as a photographer. Coming somewhere where you have no idea what it even looks like, even as a visitor, like not even as a photographer, can be very awe-inspiring because everything you see feels unexpected. So when we were driving up to the spot that we're at now, I was completely blown away because I didn't do any research. I did nothing. I didn't look at anything. And it was almost like this pure form of excitement and enjoyment because I had no idea what to expect. And then when you apply that to photography, it kind of allows you to just explore a spot and make it your own. Find shots that you just find naturally. Shots that you're not telling yourself not to take because you've already seen it, or you're telling yourself to take because you've already seen it. And it can be just super freeing and rewarding, and it also lets you kind of explore your own vision of an area. Because I don't want to just end up finding myself repeating the same shots over and over again. So I just want to talk about a bit of that throughout this episode, where the mixture of allowing yourself to go and find your own shots while still having a little bit of a direction, because sometimes you can't just show up in the dark and find amazing shots. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. All right, I've come to scout this absolutely insane spot that I want to come to for sunrise. Because as you can tell, the sun is, well, this thing. And it's going to set right over here on the right part of this frame. But it's going to rise back here, and there's a lot more interesting stuff. There's a lot more layered mountains and stuff in this location. It's almost like a mixture of Horseshoe Bend and the wetlands of Thailand. And it's crazy because not too long ago, we were in the mountains taking the shots that you just saw. And now we're in a completely different feeling and atmosphere. And it's just super cool. And that's the thing, is I only found this spot because, well, first of all, again, no planning. However, when I did get here, I ended up last night just scouring Google Maps just to see where to go, where to drive. And this one popped up on a map, and I was like, well, this looks super cool, let's go there. However, I didn't put emphasis necessarily on this destination. We didn't just drive straight here. The whole point is to find things along the way. However, I feel like this is definitely a spot, and this is what we're going to shoot tomorrow morning. I've calculated where the sun is going to be, and I think it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. You know, we have to wake up at like 4:15 a.m., right?
4:15 a.m.
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 How does that make you feel?
Oh boy.
Sophia and I hit the road to find a spot for sunset, stumbling upon this little waterfall area that felt a bit like a fairy tale. We briefly explored around and snapped a couple pics.
I still remember the feeling, like we ain't sleeping in the night. So free it feels like you're stealing. Was it just some moment in time? Did I just find something human here tonight? From the downtown to our
What an absolutely beautiful spot this is. As you saw yesterday, I scouted this, drove over 4 in the morning to get up here for sunrise. And man, just an absolutely breathtaking scene. The sun is not fully up yet, you can tell. It looks bright, but there's no actual light on the mountains yet. We're still we're coming up right at sunrise. We're probably just a few minutes away. But that's kind of the period that I really wanted to shoot because I knew that all of this would be in shadow for quite a long time because the sun won't come over this peak here for probably an hour or so until after sunrise. So the shot that I really wanted is this one during blue hour coming into sunrise. And what you'll notice is even though I had to shoot some longer exposures, a couple seconds, there's basically no wind. So those longer exposures are gonna look nice and crispy. The colors are gonna look great. And couldn't ask for a better sunrise to come together this morning. Also, Sophia has totally passed out in the car. I'll probably wake her up soon to actually see the sunrise because she did wake up for this. What a trooper. I love this lady. Leave a comment down below. Sophia's awesome. One thing that has nothing to do with photography about coming to a spot like this completely blind is just as a visitor, you're just completely blown away. I don't know, maybe you guys have experienced it in the way that you kind of drive in somewhere you've never been and it's dark and you don't get to see it until the next morning and you wake up and you see it and you're just like, oh my God, this is so much better than all the pictures I've seen. Well, this is kind of like that, except I haven't seen any pictures. You just come and you get to see stuff like this and you're just absolutely blown away just from a visitor standpoint, not even photography related. But what it can open up for photography that's really nice is just the ability to explore. Something specifically about this spot is I've never seen it. Now, again, I haven't seen every photo ever taken or anything like that. But, you know, there's quite a few spots in the world where you can be like, that was probably Iceland. That's definitely Yosemite. And I'm sure I'm going to get a ton of comments down below that's like, this is just a classic Montenegro shot. This is nothing. 100,000 people have taken this photo. But the beauty is, like, I don't know that. So I just come here and find it, and I just get to enjoy that feeling without any feelings of, I'm just taking a shot everyone's taken. I'm just taking the shot that's easy. No, I just get to find it and really, really enjoy it fully, without any second thoughts, without any guilt, without any expectations. And that's super nice. And like I said before, I used to plan out shots a lot more, but living on the road, by the time I was going up to Alaska, it got to the point where I couldn't plan out shots every day. I was always moving, and it just got to the point where I was like, I just have to go and see what happens. And specifically when I went up to Alaska, there honestly just isn't a lot of resources to find where to take photos. And then it got even worse the next year when I went to Newfoundland. Going to Newfoundland was just completely in the dark. I could find a few photographers on Instagram, see their photos, and that was about it. So I just got into this habit of, I'm just gonna drive and see what I can find myself, and really releasing the idea that I need to plan all the spots or plan all the shots. At the end of the day, I get to come here and experience this for what it is without any expectations and just kind of explore my own photography. See what catches my eye without any driving force. And honestly, it's really freeing, and I encourage you to try it as well. So I'm gonna keep taking a few images this morning. I mean, the view is just absolutely spectacular. And over here, you can't see it's gonna be blown out. The sun just came up and is creating some light on the mountains. So I think we already got the shot that I wanted, but we're gonna obviously keep taking some shots as it's beautiful. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. It means the world.
Fields of grass beneath the blue. I've heard the songs of summer singing, like a humming hymn of June.
So one of the downsides to not planning any shots is that you come to an area to stay for 2 nights to go to the national park, and then you can't get on the road because it's inaccessible in our little rental car. So, downsides also happen when you don't exactly read the fine print or read the print or look up anything about where you're going.
Let's go down to the gloves and buy a hat and buy a scarf and stand out in the freezing cold. What kind of vacation? I can stand in the freezing cold at home.
All right, so even though our idea or lack of planning didn't work out, that's okay because we found this absolutely beautiful shot. Well, I'm not going to talk about it very much because, well, you can see I'm standing right on the road on this very large bridge, and for the most part, the light is entirely gone. It might look a little bright on here, but it's pretty much gone. We are past, definitely in blue hour, which is what I wanted because of all the nice colors that are on the side of the mountains here. And you got this S-curve, some nice fog, and it just all comes together. Here's the image. I'll see you tomorrow morning for sunrise, hopefully, and hopefully a spot that I can find somewhere on a map. Maybe planning is, well, it has its merits in some ways, but we're going to talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. For now, here's the shot.
Honey, I just wanna come home to you.
All right, good morning, everyone. Okay, it's not the morning. I only got 4 hours of sleep yesterday, so sleeping in this morning sounded really nice. And this particular spot that we're standing at right now, yesterday evening, I looked on a map and just tried to look around the map to see what would work. So even though we can't get in this park right here, I know that there's these giant mountains here, and so I basically just looked at those on the map and then looked east of those mountains, which is where I'm standing now, and also back here with this lake, and just looked for interesting things that could be good foregrounds in front of the mountains. The lake back there is okay. I think I'd have to get lower to the lake, but this spot is really cool. It's actually a medieval graveyard. Medieval cemetery that I don't know the years for. I'll put it on the screen now. And it's just got all these really cool rocks, and that can create a really nice foreground if I layer the elements well with some nice sunrise light and hopefully point into the image of these giant mountains in the background. And it could work really well. So I think this is going to be a great candidate for sunrise tomorrow. But the important distinction here when it comes to going in blindly with photography is not necessarily completely blind. I'm not going to just show up to a spot with my eyes closed. It's to not be overly influenced by other photographers, but you can still plan your shots. You can still plan an area. Now again, that's kind of difficult just on a map. You can't just look on a map and try to find spots that are going to work because realistically, you never really know what a spot looks like until you're actually there. For example, you've probably seen a ton of photos of Patagonia or Yosemite or Utah, but you don't really know what the area around it looks like. You have no idea what the roads are like, where you can stop, where you can pull over, where the angles are going to look right. You kind of just have to be there and figure it out. Well, when it comes to a spot like this, just coming here and seeing that this mountain range is here, I knew that this area over here could be good for a sunrise spot. But I wouldn't have known that by just looking on a map. So driving in and then planning some shots for a new location was really helpful. And you get to really be creative as a photographer rather than just copying a shot that you've seen before. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I tried to do that last night on a bridge just because that's what I could find in the time that I had. I just think that it's a good mix. Mix it up some, let yourself explore in your own creative journey. Anyways, it's windy and pretty cold out here. We're gonna keep exploring around some other spots. Maybe we'll find a better sunrise spot, but for right now, this is probably gonna be the one currently, because it's pretty freaking cool. Thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. Let's hit the road.
Currently, we are being led by a trip truck
Down a dirt gravel road.
down a dirt gravel road
In the middle of nowhere, Montenegro.
in the middle of nowhere, Montenegro.
Where GPS maps, Google Maps
Doesn't know what's going on.
does not have any clue about anything.
No.
I think that's the new road.
Oh yeah. We were supposed to drive down this road in Google. However, that new road was not finished. It ended. And
We went to turn around, and it was like, all right, we'll just go the other way. And then the chip truck in front of us stopped. He got out of his vehicle and was like, no, come this way. And now we've been following him on this dirt road for a solid 10 minutes.
Yes.
How are we gonna get back? After quite an adventure, we have made it to our destination. And I kind of predicted this, but it doesn't necessarily look like it has a lot of potential for photography, even from this little vantage point here, or the one down there where there's this nice tree. Mostly just because a lot of the niceness of this oxbow type bend S-curve is blocked by a lot of foliage, and most of the trees are dead because of the season we're here for. This would definitely be a great spot to launch the drone, but considering I packed super light for this trip, I didn't bring a drone, which has kind of forced me to be a bit more creative and not rely on it as much. But in this particular case, it would have been nice to have it. Honestly, just one of those spots that I'm sure many of you have experienced where you go to it, it's really beautiful, it's cool to see, but not necessarily photogenic either at the time that you're there or with what you have. All right, let's see what we can find for sunset, if anything, because it's 2 in the afternoon and the sun is about to set, which is just makes the whole photography thing pretty difficult, so. Good morning, everyone. It is absolutely gorgeous this morning. There's some nice fog here in the plains, right in front of the mountains. We have that medieval cemetery graveyard that we talked about yesterday, and it is just an absolutely peaceful morning. There's no wind. It's quiet. It's a little cold, a little chilly, a little frosty, but man, am I glad to be here. What a beautiful, beautiful morning. The light is just now hitting the top of these peaks. Hasn't fully come up yet, but it is just 360 degrees of absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous light this morning. The one thing that I did is just walked around here and tried to find a composition. There's a lot of options, a lot of options. A lot of these rocks don't really have anything on them that really tells you what they are or anything. Some of them have small designs that you can see. But for the most part, the two things that I wanted to try to do was have all of my elements in the image separate with space in them so it didn't feel too crowded. And more specifically, I tried to find something that could tell a story. And the one that I found right here has just a touch of outlines on it. You're probably not going to be able to see it on the camera. But most importantly, the biggest thing about this is how the elements line up. So for example, all of these are not in the shot. And this is basically the shot. And this is our main element. We've got a little touch of an element. Most importantly, we have this the only one that's like raised up element. I don't know what you would call that, but that one is in the top left corner of the composition. And it really balances the composition because you have this in kind of the middle, but kind of to the right. And most importantly, you have this in the top right, this mountain range. And so this element on the left really balances the whole thing. And I think that that is going to be our composition for the morning. The light is hitting the top of the peak right now, so I'm going to keep taking a few images, maybe walk around a little bit. And I'll talk to you really soon. What a good life.
It's a death for me, it's a death for me.
When it comes to blind photography or going into a spot without really any knowledge of the area, I still try to plan 1 or 2 spots just so I have an idea of where to go. And a lot of the times, those planned spots, whether they're inspired by other photographers or maybe Instagram or something like that, I don't try to put a bunch of emphasis on making that the destination. It's just a, let's head there and see what I find on the way. And some of my favorite shots I've ever taken were found when I got lost. The journey of getting there, or just letting myself explore a bit. This shot that I took on the way to Watkins Glen is probably one of my favorite shots from that year. I probably like it more than any of the shots that I got at Watkins Glen. Now, I still took all the shots at Watkins Glen. This is not to dissuade anyone from enjoying taking the images of those big known spots. It's just about letting your own creative vision come out, letting yourself explore a bit and not put too much emphasis on the final destination, because a lot of the times you might find it more rewarding for the shots that you find in between. And it's really fulfilling as a photographer, and it really lets your own creative juices flow. And if you're wondering how to get better at photography or maybe editing or anything like that, you can do that all with today's sponsor, Skillshare. Recently, I found myself writing a lot more narratives for this channel, and as someone who went to college for engineering and math, the last thing I ever thought I'd be doing in my daily life was writing. So I've been spending a lot of time learning about better techniques to generate creativity and foundational skills for good storytelling through Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and more. Skillshare can help you take your career skills, hobbies, passions, or side hustles to the next level. If you're new to photography and want a step-by-step guide to understanding the basics, Sean Dalton's Photography Essentials class covers it all. What about a 9-hour course on everything you could possibly want to know about Lightroom that even includes project files to follow along with? Adobe certified trainer Daniel Scott's class is incredibly in-depth. Or maybe you want an in-depth guide to editing your landscape images like Daniel Gastiger's class. There are classes and resources for all levels, plus endless opportunities to learn new skills or hobbies you might be interested in. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive 1 month free trial of Skillshare, so get started today. All right, so I waited until the light and sun hit the tombstone graveyard here, but the one problem is, well, you can see it in this shot, my shadow. The fact that pretty much if I want the mountain in the shot, any shot, it doesn't really matter, my shadow is in it. And if I shoot this way, then the composition is a bit unbalanced. So it'll probably be one of the images before the sun peeked over and started illuminating everything. But I did walk around, and I will continue to walk around and take a few shots with these nice, long, beautiful shadows. But it's been an absolutely beautiful morning here. Thank you for joining me along on this adventure and this journey. And I hope it was insightful. I really, really insist on trying to go to your next destination without planning too much. Pick a few spots and then give yourself time to get lost. It'll really, really change your perspective on landscape photography, I promise. Anyways, thank you for watching, thank you for tuning in, thank you for being here. Give the video a like if you really enjoyed it. And there's gotta be rainbow out there somewhere, we just gotta go find them. Here's the images from here, and then also after that there's gonna be the before and after raws as well. Thanks for tuning in. Later.
Silently you live inside my heart as it's bleeding dry, but once it pours out empty, that's the death you see, it's a death for me. If I'd never make you proud, when your heart it cries